Peace is a word with a very special meaning to us, and it had particular meaning during the late 60s and early 70s, during the terrible years of the Vietnam War. There were lots of musicians in those days singing protest songs about the war. There was one musician who decided to do something about it. Jesse Winchester resisted the draft and moved to Canada. Well, he's back home now. He's on tour playing music and singing on television specials like PBS's Austin City Limits. I was kind of curious about how someone like that would feel coming back, how he'd feel about America's politics today. Well, I had my chance to ask him.
Now I'm the same old guy that I used to be. I haven't changed at all. I got the same old walk and the same old talk that would run you up the wall. I got the same old face and the same old smile and the same old baby blues. And I'm still doing the wrong, sugar, so I'm still the man for you.
Jesse, why did you decide to move to Canada?
I wasn't mad at anybody. It looked to me like a David and Goliath thing, where we were Goliath. And they seemed to be the ones with all the, by they I mean the Viet Cong or the North Vietnamese, seemed to be the ones with all the faith and the strength that comes from faith. And I know when I fight in a war, I want to fight with a bunch of people who believe in the cause and who are willing to die for it, and you know, a motivated group of people. And it just seemed like it was, that description fit the other side better than it did us. I wasn't pulling for the other side, but it looked to me that you know, if the strength of the human heart is the telling factor in something like that, then they were going to be the ones who would win. And it turned out to be the truth, that all the guns in the world can't beat down somebody who believes in what he's fighting for.
I'm still doing the rubber band. I can't seem to quit. If my mama catches us doing the wrong, mama went to pitch a fit. I can't help myself. It's much bigger than me. While I'm following you, I better hang on to an old rubber man like me. Now there's a lot of guys.
It's true that we have to live so that our example could be a universal law. But I can't claim that I've done that, and if anybody's watching me for some sort of rule of behavior, he's in serious trouble. He's almost as bad off as I am.
Do you consider yourself to be a moral person?
Well, I talk a good game, you know.
I got the same old face and the same old smile and the same old baby blues. Oh, I'm still doing the wrong, sugar, so I'm still the man for you.
I didn't have any money, but I wasn't suffering at all. I was really having a good time. I finally found myself a job playing guitar in a little band, and I wanted for nothing, really. And I was building a new life in a new country, and I was kind of challenged by that, and I enjoyed it. I never regretted anything, certainly.
What was it like when you came back to the United States after the January and after the pardon?
It was great. It's been hard work mainly for us. Most of what I've seen of the United States have been dressing rooms and airports and motel rooms. And for 45 minutes every night, a concert stage. So that's all I've really seen, and I was seeing that in Canada too. So it's just, maybe the heat's been turned up a little bit.
I'm the type of guy that wants it right down the middle. I don't like all this bouncing back and forth. Me, I want to live with my feet in Dixie and my head up in the cool blue north. And in a small suburban.
And then once the rock and roll thing sort of died down, I started listening to Elvis moved to Hollywood, and Jerry Lee Lewis got ostracized, so I just sort of turned off to all that and started listening to rhythm and blues pretty much exclusively for another 6 or 7 years until I moved north. And then when I moved north, I didn't hear as much rhythm and blues as I did at home in Memphis. And I started listening to country music, which I'd always kind of looked down on because I associated it with rednecks and racism and so forth. So it took moving to the North for me to really appreciate who I was, and the fact that you could have soul and be white too.
What do you consider to be rewarding? I mean, where do you want to go from here?
I have all the petty worldly ambitions and all the baggage that goes with it. And but I've also heard the old people say that that money won't buy you love, et cetera, et cetera. We all know that, but it seems like a human being's just got to find out for himself.
To live with my great big feet in Dixie and my head up in the cool blue north. Thank you very much.
That great music you heard Jesse playing is from an upcoming segment of Austin City Limits. You won't want to miss it. Interestingly enough, Jesse Winchester no longer considers the United States his home. He married a woman from Montreal, and he thinks that Canada's his home now. We'll be back with Evening Departments in 1 minute.